Senators Heitkamp, Senator Manchin, thank you so much, both of you, for being with me today. First of all, Senator Manchin, what is your proposal planning to do? Because some people would say, wait, are they going to vote for force, but still wait to see if this all works at the United Nations? Where do we stand?
Well, it's not my proposal. It's mine and Heidi's working together as a collective team that basically wanted an option. And all we kept hearing from everybody, the administration, to all the briefings we attended, was we've got to have an imminent strike. We've got to really show them. And it kept going back to the same thing. And we said, wait a minute now, diplomacy has to have a chance to work. And then we brought all the experts together. We kept talking back. We came back early last week so we could work and our staffs work together. And we believe we have a great proposal that says 45 days, join the world, join the Chemical Weapons Convention, be part of 191 countries, identify, secure, and destroy, and quit manufacturing any of these horrific weapons. And it's a pretty easy thing to follow, and it gives the president, at the end of 45 days, if they don't comply, he has basically the ability to use the War Powers Act he has now, and that's what we try to do in a very common sense approach.
Senator Heitkamp, would this mean not voting on anything, or would this mean authorizing military action, which is what the president wants, and then not using it until you see what the Syrians do?
I think at this point what we're assuming is that with all good intentions this process is going to move forward, but the United States Congress needs to consider and continue its deliberations, and so we are still working very, very hard to explain this proposal, to get as many co-sponsors as we can. It's a work in progress, but I think any indication that we are less than willing to proceed with something, I think, is not the right indication at this point, although we're greatly gratified by the change in what's happening on the ground right now with diplomacy, and we're waiting to see how that plays out.
Is this an effort to get Congress off the hook? We know that members and senators did not want to vote. The president thought that it was important to give Congress the vote. But is this sort of an escape hatch for everybody? No,
not at all. It was not the intention. We knew that we didn't feel right. We knew, hearing from our constituents in West Virginia and North Dakota, that's not what they had a desire to. And we know that if money or military might would change the landscape of that part of the world, Andrea, we would have done it now as the United States. Spent $1.6 trillion, been there for 12 years. Thousands of American lives have been lost and maimed. We knew that wasn't going to change, and we have been pushing for this. We've had a draft, and our draft has started being circulated on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We finalized it Friday. We shared it with everybody, the White House and our colleagues. This is something we believe really had an alternative to an imminent strike, and now we are seeing that we have Russia into the fray now. We have France, who said they're going to go to the UN. We have the United States now saying, we have Syria saying they would accept it. We're seeing that cooler heads might prevail. This is much better of an option than going to war.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, Andrea, we have had a horrific event. The use of chemical weapons banned by 98% of this world. And we have to have a response to that. But we believe that response is an international response, an attempt at a diplomatic response, and it's not shirking the tough duty that we have to consider this. In fact, it is doing the reasoned analysis that we were sent here by the people of West Virginia and the people of North Dakota to do. And, you know, if people have a better idea, we're willing to listen to that. But we believed that it can't be all or nothing, that we have to have a broader, more available options.
Now, McCain and Schumer, they're proposing something similar. I assume that you will all work together and come up with one unified approach?
Well, I've said all along, Heidi and I just never felt comfortable from day one after we had our first briefing 10 days ago on a secured call with all of our other colleagues. And we raised the question then. We talked to each other immediately after the phone call, and we've been working diligently. We don't have pride of authorship or pride of ownership here. We do have the pride of this great country, and we believe diplomacy will work on a first basis than a war strike or an imminent strike. If they're going to adopt, and all of our colleagues are finding different, we want to work with everybody. We want everybody to be part of this process, because we as Americans will come out further ahead than getting embroiled in another civil war.
Let me ask both of you, though, Senator Heitkamp, let me just ask you, why would you trust Assad? Assad has, until this latest initiative, even denied that there was an attack, denied that he was part of it, denied that he has chemical chemical weapons. Why on earth would we trust this man to tell us he's turned them all over to international monitoring and that he is signing a treaty that he's never agreed to sign?
I think because we aren't trusting Assad, we're trusting the Russians to come to the table to force their ally.
You're trusting the Russians?
We're trusting Russia's intent at this point to actually deliver the right set of circumstances. And I've said all along that we're waiting. Words are not enough. We have to see action. And so it is the combination of Russia with Syria and understanding that there is this threat, that we are very serious in this country about enforcing the ban on chemical weapons one way or the other, and that they need to bring this country into compliance.
Russia, let me say this about Russia and Syria. We've not had good relationships or honest dealing with them in the past, so we're very leery of that. That's why the Chemical Weapons Commission should be taking the lead. When it shouldn't be Russia, and it shouldn't be Syria, it shouldn't be Iran, and it really shouldn't be the United States. It should be the international community of the CWC. That's the organization that has the clout and has the power to go in to make sure they're complying. If we don't believe they're complying, Andrea, we can bring that upon them and reveal it to the rest of the world. They've already said that they will comply, that they want to comply. Then if they're not going to, we've showed them you can't be trusted in the international world. We've showed that Russia doesn't mean what they say, and it's all facade. But we have got to use diplomacy to get to the CWC, who has the authority and has basically, I think, the respect of the world.
I don't think at this point we should trust what anyone says. I think we need to trust what they do, and we need to be able to verify what in fact actually happens as a result of this effort at diplomacy. And so we continue to move forward with our proposal. We continue to have dialogue with our colleagues, dialogue with the administration, in the hopes that we will be prepared to speak with one voice in this country, which I think is a critical component of what we're attempting to do here.
But Andrea, I don't believe that we should snub our nose and say that they're making an attempt and it is not a valid attempt, it is not a sincere attempt. I want to have everybody that wants to get into an attempt that will take us to a peaceful solution, and hopefully after we can get control of these weapons and get them off the shelf, maybe we can bring peace to the region and stop the civil war. But it's going to take the entire international community, not just the Americans going it alone.
Well, I think what you're hearing... I think what you're hearing from everyone is really, you know what, we need to take this proposal seriously and we need to continue to have the discussion, but we also need to continue to have the discussion right here in the halls of the Congress.
Well, thanks to both of you for your leadership on this, and we'll have to leave it there. Thank you both very much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.